All right, guys, Jeff here, just going to show you real quick. We're cutting in some floor registers. Those are 4x12s, and this is in a house that we didn't know exactly where to put our HVAC and all of our supply and mechanical until we got everything kind of laid out. By then we had floor and tile and all that stuff, so we kind of got behind. So we're here going to be cutting in these, and as you can see, you know, you do what you can to mitigate the damage and the mess, and I'll go through some of the tools that I've been using to do that, including this guy right here, which is basically just an attachment for your vacuum so you can get all that tile dust in there. But it's, you know, these are the times that you have to be brave, okay? So no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You're cutting finished work, you're cutting your tile, you're cutting your carpet, so it's just time to be brave. You know, it obviously is a whole different story when you're just cutting through your deck. So anyway, I'm gonna be down here. Let's grab real quick. Let's go ahead and grab, got just a utility knife. I got a marker here, and a tape measure and whatnot. And we're going to just, you know, go ahead and put some fast and quick marks down. But as you can see, this little template, and this is a great idea. If you haven't done that, this gives you a 3-inch from your baseboard. This gives you a 4-inch. Just a matter of throw that down. Now, this is actually a 4x10 opening. The 12 comes to this part. So it just gives you a little bit of a quick way to make sure you're getting something big enough for the boot that you're putting on underneath, or in the crawl space in this case. So stick with me real quick. I'm going to go ahead and make some cuts. We're going to go ahead and get this register hole cut in. Okay, so getting started, one of the things that's really helpful, especially in a crawl space, is if you have two guys. So if there's two of you, one of you can stay up here and one of you goes down in the crawl space. And then you kind of lay out on the wall where you want your registers to go. And in this case, I know that the TGIs run this way. So it's really important that I get this register oriented, you know, not just in the right orientation, but it's got to be between the two joists down there, the TJIs. So one of the things that's helpful is to just go ahead and drill using just a small bit, something to get like a piece of Romex. As you can see, I put a piece of Romex down there, bent it on the corner, so my partner down there can go tell me where I wound up in relation to the right or left of that TGI. So if you don't have two people, then obviously you're going to have to go up and down to see, but you get the orientation where you want. Now in this case, my partner told me that that TGI is about 3 inches from the hole, so I know I can, it's about 4 inches from the hole, so I can kind of start my cut here. And we've got this template just like that, and you can see that wire winds up in there. And so as long as I kind of stick to that game plan, that's going to give me the placement on that of that floor register there. So anyway, and then this template's just cut out of a piece of siding, just to give you that nice guide that this is going to be 10 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it just allows you to trace that and cut that out pretty quick. So I'll go ahead and start cutting that. Okay, so I've got that template in place. You can see my wire is, you know, the wire that we were using to kind of place this and locate where we were. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. And then, of course, with anything, you know, you're going to want to make sure that you're able to, you know, run that knife. And I should be doing this other hand because I am not left-handed. But with this guide and my knee on there, maybe you can see that. So, yeah, just want to kind of get down to where I can feel that knife dragging on the deck, you know, my floor. And then you don't want to come back, so you make sure it's just nice and clean. Same thing on this side. Probably blocking that. Just run that knife just right along that edge. Again, it's time to be brave, right? Because, you know, you waited to cut your floor stuff in until after you had already put your flooring down. So, got no choice but to be brave here and just cut. So, anyway. Just kind of go around. As long as I can see it, you can go ahead and probably remove that guide there. And just start peeling it up. Okay, good. Okay, good there. You want to cut it. You don't want to pull it and have those strings like that, because that could pull that clear back way further than you wanted it to. So anyway, that's kind of the idea. You're going to run across a piece of padding that might be stapled. You'll have to deal with that. But you should wind up with a pretty clean area after you cut it. And again, I'm going to attribute some of this to the fact that I was using my left hand for the sake of videoing that. So you just want it clean. And away you go. Now, before you get too far, you want to also could probably use the new blade too, huh? Yeah, and before you get too far, it doesn't hurt to put that tape measure on this rough opening to make sure you're good. So I'm 10 1/4 there, a little better than 10 1/4, and then 4 1/4, and then 4 1/4. So that's solid. That's exactly what we need to do right there. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and pilot right in each one of the corners. I'm going to pilot a hole that's going to allow me to start my Sawzall down there. And I'm going to get into this corner the best I can, because that just getting into the corner is going to help you maintain that measurement that you need. And let's see. All 4 corners. Some guys could get by with just cutting 2. I go ahead and cut 4 just to a little easier. Now, the worst thing that could happen there is to have that drill get not stuck, but hit beyond this and be into the TJI. So good thing to have, just basically using your wire down a little test hole to make sure you are going to be where you want to be, in between or parallel, perpendicular. And then of course it makes a difference on how you wind up feeding your boot to having that cut right. So I'm going to go ahead and get the saws out and start cutting that. Okay, so as you're using your Sawzall here, a couple things to keep in mind. So first of all, depending on the blade that you're using, it's good to have a you may or may not, you shouldn't hit anything in there. So, going with just a wood blade. But the other thing is just think about the length, or the length of this thing, because you're only needing to cut about 1 inch. And, sometimes these blades, especially underneath in the crawl space, you want to make sure that, like right below here, you don't have any PEX or anything, drain line, ABS or PVC, like running right inside that. And most importantly, well, not that water's any less important, but electrical could cause you some physical damage. So it's good to inspect what you're sawing. And in this case, I know that all of these TJIs below me are pretty much empty, so I don't have to worry about it. But you could get by with a much shorter blade on this. Main thing, of course, is a good solid battery and to have a nice sharp blade on there to do that. And then since I've piloted those holes, I can kind of just Now, I'm not going to stay on camera this whole time just so you can watch me saw, but I'm going to basically go from one hole to the next hole and then back and back. And that's going to allow me to cut that as clean as possible and as straight as possible. So I'll come back as soon as I got it ready to pop out. Okay, so just about ready to get all 4 sides. All right, so that gives us the hole that we're looking for, and we'll go ahead and put our measurements in on that and make sure we're good. But that's pretty much the steps there.